of people see my ads online, as you can imagine, and I have people, in the Bryan-College station. Some people don't even think I live here. Like I live in College Station. I'm a real person.
Yeah.
I have a real family, and like the first message I always send out to people is I send out to people. I say, listen, I have a family. Not only have a family, but I've been through this process, been through the fears about buying a home. Jeannie, you have your story as well. And so the main thing I always want to make people clear is like, man, I've been in the fears or the uncertainties and the scares that you've had. I've had to push past it. And then it's like, all right, well, how can I continue to push people along to do the same thing? And Jenny, that's one of the reasons I love working with you as well, because you have the same heart to be able to see that people understand how to do it. As as we call and say, hey, let's get into the lab. Because I'm like, did that creative work sometime is what it takes to really help people. So
Mhm.
I'm gonna so how it's gonna work, I'm gonna share my screen here in a second to just highlight the buying process. I will say if you have questions, you can throw it in the chat if you do have questions. If you want to raise your hand and just ask questions in the middle of it, I'm pretty safe to say me and Jenny it won't throw us off as far as what we're doing because we've explained this several times and know where to pick back up. So definitely ask questions. Don't be afraid because this is the time for you, 2025. We're in the second month already. It's February
Mhm.
1st today. And so people are committed. Leases are coming due, or, people just have uncertainty. So we want to make sure you get your questions answered. And of course, if we don't get it here, if some of you guys are looking at this on replay, make sure when we reach out to you guys, as you've seen the replay, that we know you have questions. Okay. So Jenny, I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen real.
Okay. Do I need to stop sharing?
I'm not sure.
There you
You
go.
should be able to see my screen now, right?
Yes.
All right. So first thing first, I always try to tell people, hey, you need to know the ABCs of buying a home because most people, I always say, you look on TikTok, you look online, heck, I post things online that I am getting straight to, oh, your payments can be this, or you can qualify for this grant, or your credit have to be, this minimum. And I've done all those things, but I think one thing that people can never be able to reproduce when it comes to like how to get you into a home is knowing your specific situation and how it works. So even though a lot of this stuff we know and we understand, most of the questions that people ask us, we need to know where you're at in this process. Because if we are, trying to ask for insurance quotes all the way down here, but we don't have a pre-approval. I'm like, yeah, well, we jumping ahead of ourselves, right? Or we're looking at houses that $600,000 and you only got the income that can, qualify for a $200,000 house. So, and this is sometimes uh, people misunderstand why I don't think they misunderstand. I just think they don't understand. Like, okay, that's why I'm always big on explaining the buying process because as you have a desire to buy a home, yes, I want you to get it, but I also want you to understand what comes with it as well. So let me make sure it's nobody trying to get in because I will be going and I'll be forgetting to look. Okay. So step one, pre-approval. So that's always a thing that's important. Most of the time, people are used to renting. And so when you rent, you go look at the house, you make sure you like the house, then you put the deposit down and maybe do the application. When you're buying a home, it's the very opposite because yes, you will know what the rent is for an apartment already. We don't know what your mortgage will be up front on every single house. And that's why it's always important to do that because the question that me and Jeannie is gonna always get the most. Hey, what my payments gonna be? Can I do $1,000 down with get my payments at this? Or it's very cost payment and which is very important. I'm not saying we need to overlook that. However, that's why the pre-approval stage is very important at the beginning of this journey so that we could get to understanding, hey, when we start looking for a house, we make sure we're looking at houses that is going to be in line with the budget that you want. All right, so that's super important. So pre-approval, I'll have some information on the end when it comes to like the credit approval. I mean, excuse me, the credit repair that we are starting up. A lot of you guys did get an opportunity to say, hey, 5 spots are open, and I'm going to give more explanation to that. And it's going to be, the beautiful thing about it, we're not. It's no cost that's going to be related to it up front. So a lot of you guys who are getting to hear this right now will get a chance to take advantage of, I think, a wonderful opportunity, just to be able to walk alongside of you and your journey to own a home. So, but pre-approval, we'll talk about the credit repair in a little later after Jenny. Buyer consultation. Now, one of the biggest things when it comes to buyer consultation is kind of what I'm doing right now. We're doing a lot in one meeting. And so the goal is within this meeting is to make sure you guys are very clear on what it takes to buy a home. And then knowing me, I am a real estate agent. The name of my broker is EXP Realty. If you ever had any issues, my broker is Karen Richardson. So you could be able to report me at any time. Now, I haven't had any reports. I don't think that's going to be needed. However, there are certain protections that you have when you hire somebody as a real estate agent, that they are supposed to represent you. They are supposed to communicate for you. They supposed to show houses to you. And they have really cracked down on this last year with the National Association of Realtors, when it was a big lawsuit that came out. And basically, what that is saying is you will have to pay X amount or have to sign a documentation that is stating that you have to sign and commit to a real estate agent, and also understand that they will be compensated for, X amount. Now, me and my team, I always say it's 3%. But the thing that I've done very well is making sure that that doesn't come out of your pocket. Can I guarantee that? 99% of the time I can. There's that 1% that may not happen, right? And so I have that conversation up front. That way you understand, how does that all intertwine? And you may say, well, I don't know, Jabari. That's fine. We'll talk about that as we go on. Okay. So then from there, we got the pre-approval. That's important. You need to know what you're financing. Then you have your buyer consultation, which say, hey, I hired Jabari to be my real estate agent. He's my guy. He's the person that I want him and his team to help with. Great. Then you start searching for houses. You may say, hey, can I look at any houses? Absolutely. I got more houses sometimes that you don't have access to. That people look at Zillow, you look at realtors, you look at all the stuff. But also, it's houses that I have access to that you're not aware of. And we have a site internally where if you go in and look at these houses, it can communicate to me so that I can be able to make sure we get you into those homes, especially when new ones hit the market. So the home search, I always say you have three things. And remember, I'm going over this a little fast because I don't want to take too much time up for Jenny. But the home search, you have three things. You have your necessities, your non-negotiables. This is like, hey, we need a 3 bedroom. Hey, we need 2 bathrooms. Why? Because for all my women, they're gonna be like, I don't want to share a bathroom with all them kids. I want to have my own space. I want to have my own place to clean, or I want to have my own area. So I've been married going on 14 years, and it's like, hey, when you have one bathroom, it can get real quick. So making sure you have, a second bathroom is important. And those are basically non-negotiable. That is super fair. Like, I think that's important to know. And then also you may say, hey, I have kids in school. I want to stay in a certain school district. Maybe you have a certain yard size that you need because you maybe have dogs, or you plan to have dogs, you plan to have the big family, wherever. Now, when it comes to the home search, I will tell you this: as a first-time home buyer, do not get your mind stuck on trying to get your dream home on the first one. I'm gonna say that again. Do not get your mind set on trying to get your dream house at the beginning, because here's the number one issue I found with that: you don't do anything. And you have the qualification, you have what you need, and chances are you've been renting long enough, and then you keep going into renting. Jenny's gonna get into some of the pain points with the money that you just pretty much start throwing away. So I'll say that for her, but just know this: we have moved. I am right now in our this is our third house since we've been married. Now we've rented, so if you put the renting in there, we probably is our sixth house. So the first house we bought, it was a basic house, but the beautiful thing about it, it helped us get the second house because we had the equity that was in that to be able to buy it. And just what you're paying in rent is like when you pay that in mortgage, you get a savings that you're putting in the house that allows you to be get the second house. So that's why it's so important to start now to get the house, so that when 2 years, 3 years pass by, you can like, you know what? I actually want this. Think about it this way: how many of you guys have all worked or you've done something before and you've done it long enough, you're like, man, I got a better way this job can be done. Or you're like, hey, I have some suggestions on improvements. It's the same thing that happened in your house. You realize, or your family is growing. You realize real quick that, hey, I want to You know what? I actually need another bedroom. We need a upstairs. You know, my kids, the way they built, I just need them to be up. I need to be down. Maybe you like, I stayed in an apartment. I don't want to hear all the banging. I want one level and I want my kids on that side of the house, one on that side of the house. And that happens from you experiencing life, living in your own home so that you can be able to say, all right, well, what is what needs to be done from there. So it's important to just know that as you're going through your home search journey, don't get so set on having your best thing first. So fast forward, we put an offer in, 12-page documentation that we always put. And this is here, like in this offer negotiation. Executed contract, you have option period to earn this money. Generally, that's 1% of whatever the asking price. So if Jenny said, hey, you're approved for 200,000, you're approved for 300,000, that's 1% of generally the house. Now, you see, a lot of you guys have seen me do new construction houses. New construction houses do work a little bit differently when you are doing earnest money and deposit, and I'll explain it here in a second. But very shortly, when you have an executed contract, you've seen people celebrate this online and say, hey, we're on the escrow. They're excited because an offer was accepted for the house that they were interested in. And at that point, they are now going to kind of the due diligence stage or the option period if you're in here in the state of Texas. So that just basically says that, hey, now we're about to make sure the house is solid, right? I don't want to be buying for comparison. I don't want to be buying a lemon house. Most people know that from just the cars, but I want to make sure everything is solid. So the option period starts. The beautiful thing I always like about the option period, it gives you the option to say no. You may like it on the front end, and you come on the back end, you say, hey, I want to say no. And the beautiful thing about this, you haven't went through the whole process. So you have the opportunity to not be able to buy the house even after it's the executed contract. But at the same time, you get a chance to get more due diligence on the house when it comes to the foundation, the roof, the electric, the plumbing, all the things that you probably are not aware of. We have preferred people that go in and take a look at this and create a detailed report for you to be able to look at and say, hey, this is what's going on here. This is fine. This is fine. This is fine. This needs some tweaking. And then that report, we get it back and then we'll say, hey, now we need to repair negotiations. Three things that come from that. Number one, you decide that I want to um I want to buy excuse me, I want them to maybe just lower the price. I can get some of them things taken care of. I got family members that I'm pretty confident can fix this. So if we can lower the price, because that may help you out financially. Number two, you say, hey, I need you guys to fix these out of these 5 items. I need you to fix these three. You fix these three, then we'll be fine. And that just give you peace of mind. And number three, which is the option for the option period, you have the option to say no. You look at that report and you like, man, this house is not what I expected it to be. And you have that right. You literally, it's nothing that will take you. It doesn't cost you. Now the option period up front, you pay about $50 to $100. This is generally not for new construction. This is more for like if it's a resale. So just keep that in mind because new construction is like you shouldn't find anything wrong with it. It should be fine, and you got warranties with that. But this is for a house that's not a brand new. That's important to know where you have this option period to do this time frame. But with that, you say, I don't want to move forward. You pay for the inspection because they did their job, then you get the difference of your earnest money. So let's give an example for my financial people. That's be like, oh, okay, let me. So you make sure I'm not gonna get charged. This not gonna be a house that's gonna be mine that I didn't want, and now I'm still paying for it. No, none of that happens. It's so many scared tactics that people. So if you got on the option period and we did the inspection, you came back, you paid for the inspection. Say the guy charged you $500 for an inspection. You gave him $3,000 in earnest money and you look at everything, you like, uh, this house is not what I wanted it to be. I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, like we went through all the ups and downs that we needed to go through, and you're not moving forward with the house, and that is fine. What's gonna happen at that point is you're gonna pay the inspector. We're gonna fill out a form that's basically say, hey, we want to cancel our option. We don't want to move forward with this house, and we go in from there and say, um, we are going to go back to the drawing board. We're gonna go back to searching for the house. And so pretty much from there, that allows you to, like I say, back out the deal. The only thing you need to pay is the inspector. You get the difference back. All right. So you paid 3,000. The inspection was $500. You get $2,500 back. Okay. You're not committed to the house. we can go back to the search board. No harm, no foul. Nobody's sad. Nobody had. We learned a lesson. We know what to look for in the new house, in the next house. Okay, but majority of the time, I would say I get outside my realtor hat. Is I was a real estate investor before I became a real estate sales leader, and we got up to 20 properties that we own, and we still own quite a few today. But what that allowed us to do is really understand how to look at properties and understand issues before it. Now, am I a certified individual? Nope, I'm not. I just give my opinion to let you know, hey, I feel very confident about this or that. And, I still will tell you, do your due diligence, with that. But I've seen to at least have good enough insight and intel to be able to tell you correctly. So mortgage application now, Jenny has an actual address. She got 123 Main Street, and she'll come in and like, hey, I thought we did the pre-approval already. Well, now they're actually doing underwriting. Jenny have people behind her who do a lot of different things, and you're like, I don't understand. Mortgage underwriting is they work with Jenny, so that they're a part of her team as well, and they have to do all the due diligence that needs to be done. All right, so that's what that's done. Option period in appraisal is ordered. When appraisal is ordered, that is the valuation you have on the house. Meaning, if I get a house and at the beginning, my offer negotiation, I'm offering $300,000. I need to make sure me as a real estate agent is that I'm putting you in a good position. The last thing you want is to be able to buy a house that is not going to come back and appraise. Um, and this is where people start building that legacy, having that equity, net worth. This is where that appraisal start to build that and having that. And the beautiful thing is, so say you bought the house for $300,000. It came back appraised at 325,000. Regardless of what your loan structure is, you're going to start paying that down over time, and the valuation is just going to rise. So you have $25,000 in equity when you go to the closing table, and you maybe didn't have to put anything down, depending on what your loan product was. So me and Jenny had the exact same thing that just happened on our recent closing. It was, I think it was 190 and it came back at like 220, 225. And so it's like, hey, they qualified for one of the grants, so they didn't have to have any money down. And the beautiful thing about that is they had equity for the house that they wanted, that they loved, and they're happy. So it's appraisal part is important. Now, appraisal is a third party individual that works along with the bank with Jenny at Movement Mortgage, and they are the ones that order those. They have no influence. They can't give any insight. They may call me, but Jenny like, hey, I order it. Once they get it back to me, let me know. All right. Title search is make sure you don't somebody knock on your door and be like, hey, this is my grandma's house, and this my grandma owned this, and you owe this. They didn't tell me they were selling it, so this is now our house. And you're like, no, no, no. We did a title search, and that title search didn't show any lien judgments or encumbrance. So, um, with that, that gives you insight to just make sure you don't have any issue that's going to come up later. And if it does, you have what's called a title policy to take care in place. Insurance. Wrap it up and turn it to Cheney. Insurance. So it's just you have insurance that's built into your escrow. I'm gonna let Jenny hit on this a little bit more here in a second, but when it comes to just escrow, that's your mortgage payment, insurance, and taxes. Okay, your mortgage generally is probably a lot less than you think it is. You just also have insurance and taxes that's built into one payment, meaning you pay it all at once a month. So when you guys be like, hey, I want to make sure I'm at this amount of money, you probably are if you didn't have insurance and taxes in there. But the reality is, from a banking as a first-time home buyer or just buying a home as a primary place of like your homestead in Texas, that has to be built in as one payment. So insurance is something that you shop for. I always say if you have insurance, you maybe can be able to combine it, or some people that will look to work with in the future. Loan approval is good, meaning you're clear closed. That means that, hey, title came back good, no issues. The appraisal came back good. You got some equity that you about to start building in your home, and you're good to go. So you're on that last road right here where it's just the home warranty. I always recommend home warranties at this point because if something does happen after the closing, they come in and can be able to fix it. So think about insurance, cover the outside of the house. Home warranty covers the inside of the house. So appliances, mechanical things that's inside that you need to use as a functionality of the home, like AC, it depends on different programs. So always do your research. We have a company as well we can be able to recommend. Utility Connect, we just have a concierge service that connects you from where you're at to where you're going. Closing disclosure, very detailed. Jenny goes over that. We go over most of that for you in the beginning as well. But for the most part, that just itemize everything with your closing costs that we know of on the front end that I've already negotiated for you so that you can know that you don't have to come out of pocket. Final walkthrough, we go back and say, hey, did they actually fix what they were going to fix in the repair negotiation? Yes, we want to make sure everything is good, everything is copacetic, there's no surprises, and pretty much from there, you then you go to the closing table. That's when you see everybody, with the big key, taking a picture. They're in the house. You're excited because now you're on the journey to own your home. That's about a 30-day process, very minimum on what it takes. Sometimes it can move faster. Um, and that's that. So, if no questions on that, I'm gonna share it and turn it over to.
Well, you can actually leave yours up there.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So I'll let anybody ask any questions if they have them.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, let us know if you have questions. But I just wanted to say, first of all, congratulations for being on this call, because you just took a step towards owning your own home. This is a huge step for you to even look into this information is huge. And it's often what gets people into a home. So congratulations on that. And I just want to strengthen what Jabari has already said about the home buying process. And that road looks really long, but Jabari and I, what we like to do is as a team walk along beside you through this whole process. So you don't have to memorize any of this, because we're gonna be there to walk you through it. So often, and I work with a lot of first-time home buyers, I would say often, this happens very, very often. Once you do that application, and you actually look at your situation and look at what you qualify and learn some things about what it takes to become a home buyer. And I would say a large part of that is just you doing an application, because everybody's scenario is different. Everybody's going to have different things that they need to do, but it happens so often that when people do finally fill out the application, which is going to be that first step, pre-approval, and buyer consult, that answers so many questions and alleviates a lot of stress, and often takes care of a lot of fears that you have about buying the home. So I highly recommend that, that you begin there with the pre-approval, fill out the application. Let's find out where you are, and let's find out what you need to do going forward in order to buy a home. And then I actually do have a slideshow. I don't know that I'm going to follow it that much. Let's see. I'm trying to find, sorry.
Oh yeah, you're fine.
I'm trying to find my mouse here. Okay, there we go. Okay, so I might just, I know that this is a lot of information. So anyways, again, if you have any questions,
please make sure you ask. And the reason we say ask questions is because most of the time you guys sit there, you hear what we're saying, and you have questions. Chances are whatever questions you have is the same question the other person have. And by speaking up, you're speaking up to your goals or dreams of what you committed to. You say you're going to do. You're going to get a home. You're going to get in a place of stop paying rent. And so asking the questions is super important, because to be honest with you, me and Jenny can talk the whole time. Like, you don't even have to worry about us saying anything. But it's very rare that a lot of you can come into a space and ask questions. If you got background noise, great, just type it in, right? But if you have some background noise but you can talk, it's whatever. But we get it. You may be doing something else as you do this, but like, don't be in a position where you just want to text, because sometimes the questions that you guys have, it's too much to text over. I'm just gonna let you know that right now. We can't text everything over. So once again, ask questions. Make sure you are getting your questions answered, your uncertainties. Because if not, I've talked to some of you guys and I know exactly what your questions, and I'm gonna start having those conversations at the end. So but I want to give you guys free range to be able to come up and ask. All right, Jenny. So yep, go for it. You want me to stop
This is
sharing?
just home buying 101. Oh, am I sharing?
No, I just stopped sharing. Let's see if that works now. They say, Jenny, I don't see your
Okay,
screen.
here we go. You don't see it?
Uh, I don't. It say you share your screen. Okay, I see it. Can someone in the chat let me know if you can see Jenny's screen? Or just unmute, say, I can. Well, I guess nobody can see your screen. So
Okay, so you can see it, right?
I can see your screen.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure everybody being shy. That's normal. It don't surprise me. But if you guys can see Jenny's screen, can you please unmute and say yes, or just put in the chat yes? If you can see Jenny's screen, put a yes in the chat or unmute and say yes. If you can see Jenny's
Oh, we
screen.
got a chat.
Yes, thank you. All right, cool, wonderful. We can see it. All right, Jenny, please go. Thank you.
Okay, so we have some goals for this course. I'm not going to go over everything in this PowerPoint. Again, Jabari touched on a lot of things that you need to know. But we just going through this want you to we want you to know the advantages. I'm going to recommend, or I'm going to mention a few of the different loan programs. There's a lot out there. We're going to talk about cost, and we're going to understand credit scores and how to complete the pre-approval process. Okay, so why you want to buy instead of renting. There is a lot of reasons. It's going to list these out. Jabari touched on some of them, but it's a wise investment. It's actually the fastest way for you to build wealth. It is the fastest way for you to build wealth. And why? Because when you buy a home, that home is going to be, it's always going to be increasing in value. And not only that, but when you make your monthly payment, you are going to be paying down that principal balance, which is going to build equity in your home. So it really is the fastest way for you to build wealth. You can personalize your home. You can make it your own. It helps you with a growing family. So, and my favorite is that you stop paying someone else's mortgage, because when you pay rent, you don't get a return on that money. It's going to someone and they are paying their rent or their mortgage on, or they're paying their mortgage or whatever they owe on the property, instead of you doing it yourself, which is, it's not as hard as it seems. Okay, so this is just the beginning stages. You want to find a team, which would be like Jabari and I, a real estate agent, a mortgage professional, and a trusted insurance agent, which both Jabari and I can recommend people for the insurance. You want to complete a loan application. I may ask you for documentation just to get clarification. So you want to make sure you get that, the documentation turned in, and then you want to consult with your real estate agent to see. So like after you get pre-approved, then you want to go and consult with Jabari to see like what's available and where do you want to live, and you know when can you start looking, especially like if you're in a lease right now. Okay, so here's the basics. Your credit history, employment status, qualified income, and existing debt. These are the things that we're going to look at to make sure that you qualify. So credit is a big piece. When you do the mortgage application, we're going to pull credit and look at that. I know Jabari has some things to say on credit. We're also going to look at your employment status. And I get questions around this all the time. Like, Jenny, I've only been there for 1 year. Am I going to be able to use the income? And there's so many tricks and things that we can do to help you qualify as far as employment goes and using your income. And then we're going to look at on your credit report, you have existing debts and any possible debts that are not reporting on your credit report that you have to pay off monthly. We're going to be looking at that. And then we're going to talk about down payment. This is all going to be in your pre-approval process and when we do a buyer consult. So credit history. So these are the things that determine your credit score. What type of credit do you have? How long have you had it? The amount owed and your payment history. And you can see payment history is one of the biggest pieces. I always tell people that you can be 30 days late, but do not be 31 days late, because 30 days late, and if you make it on that 30th day, the payment on the 30th day that it was due or past due, the credit bureau will not know that you were 30 days late. If you paid on the 31st day, you are then 30 days late, and it will get reported to the credit bureau. And that is a huge reason why credit scores go down or are low, is because of payment history. A history of making monthly payments, like I said, that's an indicator that you're likely to make your mortgage payments on time. It's a factor in the type of mortgage you qualify for, and it can also determine the amount required for a down payment, the money that you're able to borrow, and interest rate that you're offered. So credit report or credit is important. You can have as low as a 580 for financing. However, at 580, you're going to need a down payment, unless your property is located in the USDA area. 600 will get you 100% financing with FHA loans, and there are other products that require you to be at a 620. So it really just depends on your situation, what your debt to income ratio is, what debt that you have. If you want to obtain a free copy of your credit report, you can go to annualcreditreport.com and get yourself a free credit report. Now, when you type this in, there's going to be all kinds of other things that pop up in front of it. Just make sure it's that website that you're going to if you want to get a actual free credit report for yourself. Okay, so then we're talking about down payment.
And this is the question I get the most. Go ahead, Jenny.
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this is the question I get the most. So please, no, go ahead.
Okay.
I'll say something after you.
So there are tons of ways for us to get you 100% financing. I have several different tools. So there's a thought out there that you need 20% down, and that's just not true. You can't, the minimum usually is 3.5, but again, we can even get you with a 600 credit score, we can even get you up to 100% financing. Now, okay, so you have your down payment, but then you also have closing costs. And depending on how this is structured is going to depend on whether you have to bring anything to the table at all or just your closing cost. But that's kind of like where Jabari and I will work together to figure out, okay, are we going to be able, or is Jabari going to be able to negotiate that the seller pay your closing costs for you so that you get into the home with almost nothing down? I don't know if you want to add anything.
No, so I think when it comes to that, for one, when it comes to the down payment, that's the biggest thing. Number one, I want to get people to understand there's a lot of opportunities depending on your job, depending on what type of work you do, depending on where you want to live, depending on if you relocated from one place to another. It's so many different grant and opportunities that you could be able to qualify for. So that's where those consultations with us, what I call a discovery call, when you submit the application, we go in, do the deep dive, because at that point, that's the only way we could be able to go deeper to be able to tell you, hey, this is what you're going to need. This is what you qualify for. And that's why I say it's specific to you. So like, understand that is so crucial. That's so crucial just to make sure that it's clear about that. So no, I can go on in depth if somebody have questions around that, but if not, you can go. And if you guys, once again, if you do have questions and you want to ask, go for it.
Yeah, so this next one is how much can I afford? And this is going to depend on a couple of different things. We're going to use your credit history, of course, like I said. You want that 580 to 600 at least. And then we're also going to look at your debt to income. So this is a ratio that we use. It looks at your debt that you currently have that you're paying off. So this wouldn't include like your car insurance or your electricity bill. Those things are not included in your debt to income ratio. What is included is debt. So that would be credit cards, automobile loans, any installment loans that you have. If you are making payments to the IRS, we're going to include that in your debt to income ratio. If you are paying a friend back and we see that you're paying a friend back and you say, oh, I owe my friend $5,000 and I'm paying them $50 a month, we're going to include that $50 in your debt to income ratio. And that is going to tell us how much you can afford. But we're also going to discuss like what payment are you comfortable with. Debt to income ratio is typically the anticipated total housing payment. So what you're going to make on that housing payment plus your existing debt divided by your gross income. And your gross income is what you get from your employer before taxes are taken out. So what is the max debt to income ratio? It depends on the program. So we can go up to 56.9% on the back end for your debt to income ratio. And I would say that that is really, it's very flexible. So it's very doable for that on the debt to income ratio. Let's see. So that's why you want to do your pre-approval, is so that you can figure out what you can qualify, or what do you qualify for. And then this is just what is your monthly payment include for your mortgage? It includes the principal payment, the interest payment for the mortgage. It's going to also include the taxes and the insurance on your property. It's going to include both mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is to cover the mortgage company. Homeowners insurance is just like car insurance. It is going to cover the home for any natural disasters or anything that could possibly happen to the home to damage it. You're going to shop for homeowners insurance. I am going to give it as a quote in your payment, but you're actually going to go out and shop, and you are going to select the insurance company that you use for homeowners insurance. And on the property taxes, those are very property specific. So if you're out shopping for a home and you find one that you really like after you're pre-approved, I usually tell you I do tell you to come back and let me know what home that you prefer, so I can really do the calculation on those property taxes and make sure we have you at the right monthly payment.
Can I ask a question, Jenny?
Sure.
So if wherever I decide to stay, if it's in College Station or Bryan, could my taxes be different?
Yes.
Could I have lower payment because I stay in a different city or county?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you're telling me it does matter where I buy my house because that could affect my taxes.
Yeah,
My payment at the same time.
It's very interesting because and I say it is very property specific, because your taxes are based off of what the county, not the market, so not the appraiser, but the actual county says that your value is. So you might be buying a home for $230,000, but the the county might say it's 180,000 value. So the tax rate on that property is going to be lower because the value is lower than the market value. Most of the tax rates, so I would say that between Bryan and College Station, the tax rates are very comparable. There's a couple of tax breaks in certain parts of College Station that make, improve the property tax value a little bit, but it is very property specific. So, I mean, I have clients comparing different areas and looking at those monthly payments because it does sometimes make it a pretty, I mean, maybe like $100 a month.
Yeah. And only reason I say that because I always want people to understand that um it's so many variables that does go into that we can't tell you a lot of it up front. That's
Yeah.
why I know once we have that pre-approval and we have all this stuff in place, then I can tell you, hey, this neighborhood, Wellborn Settlement, has these type of incentives, or this area in Hearn or Navasota is completely different, and that's fine. Like I always tell people, like I don't care where you stay because that's your maybe lifestyle for what the next 5, 10, 20 years.
Yeah. Yeah.
However, I just want you to understand, like, there's benefits to where you stay and where you don't stay. So,
Yeah.
anyways, I'll let you keep going from there.
Yeah, it's definitely good to look and compare. Like I have a client right now that is shopping and their payment is very important, but they want to live in a certain area. And so anyways, you
Hey,
have to
look, I tell people real quick, I'll shoot you straight. I say, listen, you got a champagne taste with a beer budget. We got to be honest with ourselves here. Now,
yeah,
I
but it's
want you to
good.
get everything you want. I really do. However, we're gonna as we have to come a Jesus meeting, okay? So
Mhm.
we can move in the right direction. So, all right.
Yeah, it's good to get granular on that stuff and like look at it closely.
Yep.
Um, Especially for a first time home buyer. So what product or loan type is right for you? And this is just going to explain the difference between conventional versus unconventional. Um, Conventional loans are not insured by the government. And so Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, and you may hear these terms and they're not really going to mean anything to you, but I would say conventional is a harder loan to qualify for versus your so this is just explaining your conventional loans. The unconventional, the government backed loans, FHA, USDA, and bond programs. They are much easier to qualify for with the first time home buyer, but we are going to look at both of them so that you can make an informed, educated decision. I'm not going to decide for you which program you go with unless I'm just going to present what I'm going to do is gather your information, look at it, and tell you what your options are and let you decide on which program to go with. VA loans are my favorite to do for military members. They don't require a down payment. You don't pay PMI. Sometimes your funding fee is waived. If you have military background, that's really the way to go usually.
Can I
Okay,
ask a question
so
about that real quick?
yes.
Because I'm asking questions I know I'm gonna get that most people always have, so I'm just gonna ask it for them. So when it comes to those down payments, are those some of the grants that we can qualify for?
Yes.
Okay, so those grants are already there. We just have to talk to you guys so we can understand which one we qualify for.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I work with TDHCA.
Uh-huh.
I work with T-Shack. Those are two different entities that do down payment assistance. Movement Mortgage has its own program that does 100% financing, and we've got some other grants that are available. That if you qualify for those, I am going to let you know what you qualify for. The city of College Station, the city of Bryan, they have down payment assistance programs, and actually just doing some research and looking into that, they've actually raised their income limits on that. So
Wow.
yeah, it's actually a little bit easier to qualify for that. So I mean, there's a lot out
Just
there.
to, it's and sorry, I'm sorry to jump in and not cut you off, Jenny, because you're doing a great job. It's just I like to emphasize certain things that you just said. Is that means more grants and opportunities. The issue for most of us, and I'm proud of you guys who are here, is they don't take the time out to know what's available to you. Then
Mm-hmm.
it's very easy for us to sit up and say, "Oh, I can't get none. Woe is me." Well, guess what? You're not paying attention to what's there. It's a
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
to do some of these things. We're already in the second month of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Certain funds do go away. Certain things don't are available to you. So when you delay, it's less help sometimes. So I just wanted to hit that. But sometimes they always there. You just got to do the diligence that what me and Jenny do, so we can bring you this information. So therefore you can say, "Oh, that's what you were talking about." So you can't do it all. All right, I'm sorry. I get on
Yeah,
my.
and I'll just add, like, it's overwhelming. Like, I mean, the information is just like overwhelming. But that's why you do lean into the professionals. We do this all day long. We're in it. We're helping all kinds of people. We run into all kinds of scenarios. And anyways, we're able to provide this. To be on this call is huge. Like, it's a huge step into home ownership, because you are presenting yourself to the information to learn and to just be open to it. So okay, like I said on this, to figure out which product is right for you, the best way to figure out what is the right product for you is to complete an application. That is the first step, because the application puts all the information in one place. We're able to pull your credit, and then we look at your whole situation and we're able to tell you, okay, here are your options. If you're not ready, then what we say is, okay, here's a plan, like follow this plan. And if you follow that plan, you are on your way to buying a home. And I've had quite a few people that have come to me and I was not able to approve them yet. And then they went and did what they were supposed to do, and they came back and they were able to buy a home. So, the big step is looking at it, finding out where you are, finding out what you need to do, or maybe you're ready when you actually look at it. You say, "Oh my gosh, I qualify and I can buy a home." I've had that happen quite often. Anyways, yeah, the looking at it is probably the hardest part. Once you look at it, then you can come up with a plan and then you can execute that plan. Okay, so the home buying process. So these are the 6 steps. So like I said, complete an application. I may need your documentation, and then we're going to get you a pre-approved letter to share with your agent. And that's the fun part. And then you go shopping. We review the pre-approval. I'm also what I like to do is get the application, get it reviewed, set up an appointment with you to review the information, not for you to memorize, right? But for you to kind of know what's ahead, for you to know what the numbers look like and what your budget is. And then you're going to take that to Jabari. He's going to get you shopping. And then you're going to start, you're going to focus on, so you want to start the process of looking, but you want to stay focused and not get discouraged, because sometimes it can be a little discouraging, but eventually it pays off. And you want to always stay in contact with me and Jabari throughout the process. Like I said, we really like to come alongside as a team and walk you through that process, that roadmap. So Jabari went over this. I'm just going to run through it really fast. Like, what do you do when you find a home? You come back to me. We look at it, we look at numbers. I send in Jabari, make probably an updated pre-approval letter. You put in an offer. The once the seller accepts that offer, then you're going to put up your option money. And Jabari will send me the contract. I will get the contract in line to be reviewed with your file with an underwriter. And you will go through underwriting, we'll get what's called a buyer approval while you're getting your inspections done. Okay, once your inspections are done, and if there's no problems, or maybe you need to renegotiate, once that part is, I get a verbal, okay, we're good, I order the appraisal. Then your file is at that time probably coming back from underwriting. We're going to turn in any conditions that the underwriter's like, I need to verify more information. So we're going to give them more information. We're going to have the appraisal. We're going to have title. We're going to make sure there's a survey on the property, and then we're going to send that back off for final approval. And then during this process, we're going to be looking at numbers. Numbers are going to be changing. They're kind of fluid until we get that final closing statement. And then you will go to a title company and you will close. Once you close and your loan funds, then you get the keys to your home. So you want to make sure, this is a big one, if anything happens with your job along the way, you need to let us know
Yeah.
about that. So just a recap of what we went over. And I think like the big one here is that pre-approval process. You got to get that taken care of. Let us look at your credit, get that reviewed, and then we'll talk about your buying power, and if you need a down payment, how much is it, or closing costs, are we able to negotiate that? Again, Jabari and I will be working as a team to kind of get you through that part. And that's it for me.
Wonderful. So thank you, Jenny. I
You're
appreciate
welcome.
that.
I'm gonna stop sharing. Okay.
So to wrap up this, I want to give a chance for you guys to ask any questions that may have come up. And I'm gonna also tell you a little bit, at the front end, I'll talk about kind of the, I guess, credit repair and credit advice, that a lot of people have uncertainty of, or just like questions, right? Because he's like, hey, mate, do I need it? Do I not need it? Sometimes you really don't need anything. You just need us to sit down and review it so that we can tell you, hey, go do this. So I'm gonna show you an example of what happens when you have somebody who literally sit down, help you, and give you insight. I had a young lady who was, I know for her, she's actually 1099, and she did the call, like she got on the call with us. Well, I called the discovery call, and they sent her. She had some stuff that she needed to get taken off her account because the debt to income ratio is so important. So
Yeah.
what happened is she had an account on there, and we were like, hey, we need to get this off. This is what we believe you need to do. You need to call them and find a way that you can be able to make a settlement with this. And this is one of the reasons where I'm starting to open up some help more in this area, because we got results. Okay. So here's just a small insight. Once we did the application. So right here, they had reached out to Capital One. They had a balance on their account for $4,536. Look at the settlement amount that they settled for. Can you see that? Let me see if I
So
can zoom. That says
681.
$81.
Mm-hmm.
All, and they sent this. This was, Jenny, was that this year? Was that in January?
Yes.
So just imagine, Jenny, if that taken off your file, would that give you a bump in your credit score? It very well can, right?
Technically, yeah.
Okay.
The technical answer for that is yes.
Yes, the technical answer is that yes. The reason you have taken because it's a lot of nuances that we need to understand about your profile to know if that applies. But just on hindsight, on the surface level, is that understanding when you get with people, this is the only point I want to make. Get with people who does this on a more day-to-day basis to give you wisdom and instructions. We can give you advice on what to do and how to reach out to people. Okay. Um, and that's it. It's like, and what is our whole goal? Like, we want you to get a house. That's it. It's nothing more than that. We want you to be able to own what you have. Me and Jenny do it. And it's like, we believe that it is definitely possible. So, I wanted to show that, and talk about if people are just for the people listening to this on replay, uh, willing to sit down and enroll those people into this 5 people. It's not no charge. It's opportunity to have referrals on the back end. Just looking for testimonials, just like the one I shared with you, so that people can know that hey, we're getting results for people and eventually get them into a house, right? And so it's not overnight success. It takes minimum, like we're on that's happened on the 9th and we're still working with it, right? So and just know you must go through the application process. Like I'm not doing this, it's spending our time, energy, and effort helping and assisting people if they are not doing this first step. Like it's a main requirement. You have to do the application, okay? So with that being said, we have a couple minutes and we can go over if we need to, just to make sure we answer any questions. We've highlighted, just to recap, we highlighted the buying process. We highlighted what it means to negotiate, find a house, option period, um, and what questions or concerns or just any feedback that you guys have as we've gotten towards the end of this. Okay, so if no questions, I'm gonna highlight and answer some of the questions that I did get through with some of you guys via text message. So any questions that I can answer for you guys, if not, I'm gonna answer some of the specific questions I think I've gotten from you guys. Going once, going twice. Okay. So one question that was submitted to me is like, hey, I have, a FICO score of 644, in that mid 600 range, right? Now, Jenny, when it comes to like people credit scores, and they're looking at their scores, what is your recommendations on them actually having a correct view of that score? And when you look at their score, is there a difference there that they need to be aware of when we do the application? Would you be able to speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, my credit report that I pull is specific. It's very specific. It's the only reason you would pull this report is if you're buying a home. So it's going to be way different than what you see on Credit Karma or your credit card statement. It's always going to be different.
Okay.
It's
Is it chance? Go ahead.
it's a good gauge. It's a good gauge. And people will tell you that, the mortgage credit score is going to be lower than what you see on um, your credit card or on Credit Karma. I don't necessarily agree with that. We are going to pull 3 scores. So it's random. Anyways, the biggest thing that I suggest is to go ahead and pull your mortgage credit report to see what that says.
Okay.
It's the best thing you can do for yourself.
Okay. Generally people ask questions or have asked me questions is like, hey, my lease is up in May. My lease is up in June. My lease is up in April. My lease is up in July, June. Me and Jenny have a client right now it's in that same predicament. And I believe we knew her lease was up, and so we planned accordingly and said, okay, well, you know, because we know when you close on a home, do you make the payment right then and there, Jenny?
Mm-mm.
When is the first payment generally due when you buy a house?
Well, let's say you buy a home in February.
Okay.
Okay. You will not have a payment in February.
Okay.
You will not have a payment in March.
Okay.
Your first payment would be in April. So
Gotcha.
the third month.
So
So,
you can close on your house before your lease is up, maybe a month, and won't have a payment until a month after, right? So
Oh, yeah.
that means if your lease is up, let's just say in May,
Maybe.
okay?
Mhm.
Say your lease is up in May, then you could close on your house in April, move out in May. You could be moving that whole month, to be honest with you, if it's new construction, depending on like the scenario of the house, right? Obviously. But and then your first payment won't be due until June. Is that what you're telling me, Jenny?
mhm.
Okay. So the reason I want to emphasize that is that yes, it's definitely possible to be able to get into a house. And remember, just because we're closing on it doesn't mean, hey, when you close on it, the payment is going to be due right then and there. Now, there may be some earnest money, maybe some down payment, depending on the program that you're a part of, right? It's
Right.
that's why we have those variables that we go in and have those explanations and answer those questions. But when it comes to like your lease situation, I'm very hyper and focused on making sure, like, all right, we need to do this by this time frame so that we can get to this next step, and then we go from there. All right. So, cool. Anything else you want to add on that, Jenny?
Um, let's see. Something even crazier that you could do is lease back.
Yes, great point. So, if you're in a situation that your lease is out a little bit further, but you found a good house, you found a good deal, and you say, "Man, like this is it. This is it. This is what I want." And you have like a little bit more time in between when your lease ends and when you're going to close. And you could be at that point where you have some months in between that. And sometimes people can be several months, to be honest with you. And I want you to realize, if I'm gonna say it this way so it can hit harder. If you fight just as hard to buy a home as you are to be able to pay rent, you'll be okay.
Yeah.
Because most of us fight so hard. It's like, oh, my lease is up, so I gotta wait another year. Like, do you not know it's opportunities for somebody else to go rent out your house and they
Mm.
can move in? You can start buying your home and start putting your money to work. Is there
Yeah.
some risk in that? Absolutely. Is there some due diligence we need to do in between of that? Yes. But once you are very clear, to be honest, it's certain times that you can get your lease bought out.
Mhm.
So all I'm saying is, like, just fight just as hard to be able to buy something as you fight just as hard to pay your rent on time.
Yep.
Because if you do that, then you won't look up and like, oh, I have nothing to leave. Woe is me. It's like, I'm big on legacy. I'm big on taking risks to get you in a position to have something for your family. Because I fight for it every day, just like Jenny and all of us do. Because
Yeah.
we all live in this same, we live in the same world. So, yes, lease back is a great scenario. Thank you, Jenny, for that.
Mhm.
Um, I think that is it. I think the only other question I have is that's mainly it. I think the people that I've talked to that's probably on this call are listening. Those are the things I have been aware of when it comes to that. Is there any income um uh that, depending on maybe how you're getting paid, is there some help if you get like fixed income? That you I know you talk about this at times, but if people like have some form of I think Social Security, SSI, what is like the rule on how you guys look at that?
Um, if you're working and you get Social Security, and you don't pay taxes on your Social Security, because some people don't, um, then we will gross up the Social Security income for qualifying purposes, because you're not paying taxes on it.
Hmm. So you get paid. So basically, it shows that you make more, which makes you not look as if you get
Didn't
six
they?
Yeah,
hundred dollars or $900,
it
right?
increases your buying power. Is
Increase your
what it
buying
does.
power.
Yeah.
So, and that may be for more people that I think it sits on replay, but husband and wife can go on there if you are in that stage. Like, wife needs improvements, but you don't. It's fine. We understand that. And you can buy in one name. We encourage to buy in both. And let me see any other questions that has come up. Um, no, I think that's it. So Keeman, Norma, I know you guys on here. Do you have any questions that you want to highlight before we go? All right. Well, I am going to send out the application to you guys to be able to start that process. It will be from blended agent. It's going to be an email. It's going to be automatically generated. That email is for me and Jenny. So that's a system that we use internally that anytime it helps us both communicate, hey, you know, Nora finished this. All right, then cool. Let us jump on it. Hey, let me review it, and then I can tell you about the next step. And then we can have that discovery call. It'll be just like us. We do it sometime in person, sometimes we do it on Zoom, sometimes we do it on the phone. It really depends on, what's going on. But we understand people work, we understand things happen just with all of us. So, but we want to get you the right information so we can move forward. So I'll send that application to you guys, because I know you guys are on here. If you have like any other questions outside of like, hey, I wasn't clear about this, then text me back, let me know. But you'll get an email from Blended Agent from the both of us for me, excuse me, for me, and it'll have Jenny information. So that application you fill out is going to go straight to Jenny, and then she's going to go in there, bam, 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 and we'll have our call and we'll reach out for the next step. So, but I appreciate you guys for taking our time, you Saturday morning, to being here. I appreciate you guys for listening, putting the right information in your mind. We are in a new month, and we're ready to get people in some houses, and so I think understanding that you have a team of people who heart and intention is 100% is to get you there. And I mean, I'm not good on making excuses either. So I'm gonna be straightforward when it comes to certain things, and it's all out of love. It's all out of love as well. So Jenny, appreciate you, ma'am,
Thank
for
you.
taking out the time as always to doing this. I appreciate you guys for listening to this, and as you listen to replay. And I look forward to any of your questions, but even more so, look forward to helping you guys getting into a home. And then we'll go from there, okay?
All right.
Bye. Thank you,
Bye.
Thank
guys.
you.
All right. Thank you, Norma. See y'all later.